this episode of HOH Overland, Amy and I take our new rig Genesis and travel across the mountain to western North Carolina and search for the road to nowhere. We rolled out on a wet Thursday morning and headed toward the Foothills Parkway. As always, the views of God's creation never get old. As the sun broke through the clouds, we crested the mountain to the tune of an old country legend, only to be drowned out by the growl of the Hemi. As we come to the end of the parkway, we are met with a spectacular view of Chilhowie Lake. For you history buffs, Chilhowie Lake was created in 1957 by TVA to help generate hydroelectric power for the Alcoa aluminum plant. As we will learn on this trip, many of the historic sites we will see were all established to support the World War II effort by Alcoa in the mass production of aluminum. On a side note, many years ago, Amy caught her largest lake trout ever right here on Chilhowie. And it was the only fish we caught that day. We headed south on US 129, also known as the Dragon. We prepared ourselves for its onslaught of 318 switchback curves in the next 11 miles. If you have tendencies to be carsick, this is not the road for you. During peak seasons, motorcyclists and car enthusiasts alike flood this road to test out their driving skills. Thankfully, this winter day had low traffic and allowed us to take a slow ride while soaking in the beauty of the mountains. As we climbed upward through the curves, we stopped at a picturesque little pull-off with some great dam views. We found ourselves looking at the backside of Calderwood Dam. As mentioned before, Calderwood was built by and for the Alcoa Aluminum Company in support of local industrialization and the World War II effort. After some time soaking in the view, we continued south on the Dragon towards the North Carolina state line. As we crossed into Swain County, North Carolina, we found ourselves in the parking lot of the Deals Gap General Store. After a quick chat with a local, we found out the store was closed for the season. Unbeknownst to us, this would become a common theme throughout the rest of our journey. As the growl of our stomachs replaced the growl of the Hemi, we decided to take a quick detour down US 129 to the Topeka Lodge to see if they were open for lunch. Unfortunately, we found the lodge to be closed also. What we did find was a massive structure called the Chiowa Dam. Like Calderwood, Chiowa was also built to provide hydroelectric power for Alcoa aluminum. For all you movie buffs, you'll remember the Chihuahua Dam is the setting where Harrison Ford dove headfirst off the dam when confronted by Tommy Lee Jones in the epic thriller, The Fugitive. After taking in the dam views, we headed back along our original route, known as Moonshiner 28, toward Fontana. As we eased our way along the river, we were mesmerized by the fog settling on the water and couldn't help but take our time and soak it all in. Along the way, we passed yet another power-generating engineering marvel, the Santigua powerhouse and its massive surge tank and penstalks. Amy and I were just in awe of all the massive structures and the engineering behind all the historic sites, many of which were created by the greatest generation, as you will soon see. As we continued on up the river, the fog became thicker, and we caught a glimpse of a fishing boat moving slowly through the fog. It was definitely a cool scene that looked like it belonged in another movie. As we rolled out of the fog, we found ourselves face to face with another giant, Fontana Dam. Of course, we had to pull in and check it out. Fontana Dam was built by TVA to provide massive amounts of hydroelectric power to Alcoa. This electricity was vital for producing the aluminum needed to build thousands of military aircraft. Also, it supplied power to the top-secret Oak Ridge facilities, which were refining uranium for the development of the atomic bomb. The structure is 480 feet high and 2,365 feet long. To put that to scale, it's as tall as a 44-story building and as long as 8 football fields. The crazy thing is, the dam was started in 1942 and completed in 1945. Amy and I joked that the project like this would take 10 years just to get the permits in our day. We left the base of the dam and headed up to the visitor center, where the views were spectacular. We learned that up to 6,000 workers, including a small contingent of Cherokee Indians, worked around the clock 7 days a week in an attempt to complete the project. While the project was necessary, it did not come without controversy. Many homes, farms, and communities in the surrounding areas were flooded due to the project. Well, Amy said she'd heard enough dam talk and it was time to find something to eat. We headed out into the Nantahala forest and found ourselves at the Pit Stop Garage. We were greeted by Bigfoot, grabbed us a couple of barbecue sandwiches and a cold Mountain Dew, a couple of patches, and we were back on the road. We headed toward Bryson City and searched for a dispersed campsite along a quiet forest road. Much like before, we were met by closed access gates. We did stumble upon Bubba Gump's LLC at the Lemons Branch boat launch, but Bubba wasn't home either. After having no luck finding a dispersed campsite, we ended up at the Turkey Creek campground just outside of Bryson City. We were greeted by the owner, Rick, who got us checked in quickly and on the way to our campsite. After getting set up for the night, I took time to play with the drone while Amy made us a delicious dinner. She had been wanting to try out the camp oven, and this was the perfect opportunity. The oven worked great cooking the potatoes, and you can't go wrong with a steak from an iron skillet, especially when Amy is the cook. After filling our bellies, we sat around the fire and soaked in the day before breaking down and turning in for the night. After a good night's rest and an early morning rain, we opted for a quick cup of coffee and hot chocolate before heading out in our search for the road to nowhere. We quickly found ourselves back in Bryson City, weaving our way through the small town into the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. This route took us up a short mountain ride that was littered with spectacular views of the Smoky Mountains and Fontana Lake. After a few short miles up the mountain, we had finally made it. The road dead ends to the mouth of a tunnel, signifying we were finally in the middle of nowhere. There's a small parking area with trailhead signs, so Amy and I jumped out to explore the tunnel. The road to nowhere is a never completed 6-mile road that was promised to residents who were displaced by the Fontana build. The tunnel was built with the intention to give access to family cemeteries and land that was flooded by the lake. What began as a build in the 1940s was stopped in the 70s due to environmental concerns and other problems. Once you walk through the tunnel, the road literally ends in the middle of nowhere. After getting
nowhere,
we crossed the Tuckasegee River, headed toward Cherokee, North Carolina. This would be our loop back into familiar territory on the way home. As we headed out of Cherokee and back toward the national park, we were lucky enough to see several elk along the side of the road. What an amazing sight. Elk were reintroduced into the area in 2001 and are thriving. It never gets old seeing these amazing creatures. After making our way across the state line and back into Tennessee, we crossed over Newfound Gap and headed down the mountain. On our descent, we passed the sign for the Alum Cave Trail and talked about hiking Mountain Comp sometime in the near future. After a few more curves, the ominous peaks of Chimney Rock appeared. Amy and I have hiked this trail in the past. It's a tough one, but the views at the top are well worth it. We also reminisced about the devastating wildfires in 2016 and how many people's lives were changed forever. As we approached Gatlinburg, the Jeep got quiet as we enjoyed the remainder of our journey back home. We hope you've enjoyed riding along with us on this adventure. See you next time.